If I think back to my career, I would get emails at all hours of the day, and I would feel a lot of pressure to respond to those emails. It sort of consumed my whole life. I felt like I was always working, and I felt like it took sort of a health toll on me. It was very exhausting. Then I got into academia, and I was still doing the same thing. I was still answering emails all the time, but I was happy to do it. I didn't feel down or exhausted or like it was having a negative effect on me. That got us interested in the question of when and why would email actually be a problem for people. We actually collected data from an employee, and we got information about whether they felt like they were expected to respond to emails during non-work hours and what level of expectation they saw. And then we collected data from them in the future, later on, about how that affected their health and their relationships. And then we also collected data from their spouses. So we reached out to their spouses and collected data on their spouse's health and their spouse's perception of relationship satisfaction. And what we found is that an employee's belief that they're expected to respond to email has a negative effect on the relationship satisfaction of their partner and a negative effect on their partner's health. And it also has a negative effect on the health of the employee that was responding about their email. So all of those areas of their lives were impacted by that belief that there was an expectation. And all of this happened through detachment, which is to say that employees didn't feel like they could detach from work when they got home. They still felt sort of stuck at work, even though they were in non-work time. Most people think it's really about the time you're putting in, that's why you might have relationship conflict over your work invading your non-work time, or why you might see negative health effects is that you're spending all of your time engaged with email. And in fact, what we find is that it's more about expectations, and what we theorize is that people have these open windows in their minds. So they're sort of in this workspace, and they have to keep that open and available and be ready to re-engage with work at any given time, which prevents them from being present with their families when they're supposed to be detaching and spending time with their families. So I think the first thing that's important is that managers actually are aware that this can be a problem. So the first step is knowledge, and knowing that should help someone be a better manager, I think. Then the next step is, well, what can they do about these expectations? And I think there's a few different ways they can address them. One is just simply through communication, because norms are often set implicitly. So employees watch their managers, they see what's being rewarded, they see what their manager's behavior is, and they see that seems to be the appropriate behavior. But if the manager communicates with them, I don't have expectations that you respond to emails during off-work time, then I think that can have an impact on the employee's belief about that. Another option would be to actually set in place some sort of policy where you say employees should not be responding to emails between certain hours or on weekends, or maybe if it's a job where some response is necessary, communicating what medium the communications that are most important will come through. So perhaps saying, if it's really important, I'll call you. I've seen leaders do things like this. I've seen leaders send out emails saying, here's my approach to electronic communication. Here's my expectation of your response times. And I've found it to be really helpful as an employee when I get that message from my manager.